Hey, listener, just really quick, wanted to apologize for the audio quality on my audio on this recording. There was some kind of software update that we ran right before we recorded this, and it changed the playback speed or the recording speed on my voice to something crazy. We had to try to rescue the recording, and there's still a little bit of distortion in there that's not usually there. All of our recordings after this seem to be okay, so just know that this recording, my audio, maybe not the best quality that we like to bring you, but it is gone in future recordings. So thanks for understanding.
There's dangers all around us, and whether you like us or not, we may be all that stands between you and the abyss.
I don't like you. Your attitude stinks.
Thank you. That makes me feel much better about our relationship. A piñata, huh? So, you think of me as something bright and cheerful, full of toys and candy for young children.
Hello, and welcome to Who Are You? It's a Babylon 5 watchcast by a couple of strangers who are now friends and are getting to know each other over one of their favorite shows from their childhood, Babylon 5. I'm Laura.
And I'm Xhafer.
And today I get to ask Xhafer, who are you?
Who are you?
Who are you?
Do you know who I am?
I believe I've alluded to this on podcast a couple of times. I don't know if I've really gone into it, so I figure it might be a good time to go into it, given my pup is in the room with me right now, kind of anxiously staring at me. She's had a rough couple of days.
Oh, no.
For her anxiety. It's been very windy here.
Yeah, I have a dog like that.
Yeah, new house. It's not a new house, but it's a new house for her, and it's creaky compared to the old one because I've got so much more space. Mm-hmm. My old house was very close to all of my neighbors' houses, so there wasn't a lot of wind that made it through.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Now I'm on an open street with a big front yard and a big backyard, so it's creakier. But that has nothing to do with what I want to talk about. What I want to talk about is dogs. I train dogs.
Oh, fun.
My dad trained dogs to be pointers. He trained bird dogs to be pointers. This is like a hobby he did. He was not professional, but it is something that he did for most of my childhood.
Yeah, the pointing is really interesting.
Yes, yeah. Teaching a dog to point is a whole thing. He had a fishing rod with a feather attached to it, and he would train dogs with that, hold it out there and then how to react when it moves and stuff and all that. Mm-hmm. It was one of his techniques. So training dogs, it's something I grew up around and something that I definitely learned a lot about as a kid and teenager, kind of helping dad out sometimes. So I train dogs.
Is there a favorite trick that you've trained a dog to do?
I'm not really big trick training. I'm surprising no one, I'm sure, who's listened to any amount of episodes of this podcast. I'm very utilitarian. So, my dog, Puff, she knows all her vocal commands, and she is also whistle trained and hand signal trained. So I have a series of hand signals for go, come here, whoa, lay down, sit, all that stuff, all the basics that she knows all of these hand signals for, so I can command her without her being able to hear me. That's something I did with her because she is a all-white pit lab. Mm-hmm. And everything I read online tells me that this dog is going to go deaf.
Yeah, that's a gene or something that has a lot of hearing loss, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that particular combination, these dogs go deaf. That's what happens. Hmm. And even now, she is 6 and she still hears real good. But it's definitely, I don't know if she's just a little bit more engaged, but I feel like I got to yell a little bit louder when she's out back to come back inside these days.
Yeah.
So I think it's starting.
We had a foster dachshund that was a coat combination, the genes that caused this coat. It was called double dapple or something. So it's, one of those gray. Mm-hmm. It was white, but also gray and black spotted. And apparently that combination is often blind and deaf, or either blind or deaf or both. And the one that we fostered, she was blind and she was very hard of hearing. She wasn't all the way deaf, but she was completely blind, and she was a very interesting dog. I don't know when she got adopted if, I don't know how you treat a blind dog, but she was a very sweet creature. It's just interesting how some of those like hearing and eyesight things are tied in with coloring and coat.
Yeah, I don't know what it is, and I'm not going to pretend to be an expert on dog genetics,
Sure.
But it's definitely something that I've prepared for in training her. And then she is also a service animal.
Okay.
She is a trained office therapy dog.
Oh.
So she is like well versed in navigating cubicles and office environments. She like asks before she'll approach people.
Aww.
She doesn't just walk up to, like she knows to ask.
That's very sweet.
Just like even at home, she has a way of asking if she can come up on like the sofa when we're all watching TV, or if she can come up on the bed at night if she's feeling, a little particularly anxious and wants to be closer. She'll ask. She has a way of like resting her head on a thing. That's her way of asking, how we taught her to do it.
That's really cute.
It's adorable. And it's really hard to say no to because it's adorable.
Yep, there's the problem right there.
Yep.
Do you ever get to take her to the office and be your therapy dog?
Yes. Yeah, I have all the paperwork for her. There's not really any official therapy dog paperwork, at least in Michigan. Maybe other states or businesses have their own stuff. But I did get her registered as a emotional support therapy animal. So I have like this is a service dog. She can go where she wants kind of a thing. Like I don't abuse it.
Sure.
I definitely have it.
I remember in college, the one thing that our university would do at the end of the semester is they would have some people bring those kind of registered support dogs on campus during certain times, like finals week, so that you could get some cuddles in with a registered therapy dog. You got to start taking her to college.
I could, yeah. I bring her in to work with me about once a week. Before COVID, she was going to multiple offices, but that's all done now, and not really something I want to put in the energy or effort to doing again. If like my roommate wanted to take her into work or something, that'd be one thing, but I'm not gonna mess with it at this point.
That's a lot to ask right now.
Yeah. But yeah, so I train pups. I've done it as, like friends who would get puppies. Sometimes I've helped, here and there. It's not really a business, but it's something that I enjoy. And, I feel like a D&D ranger, I got my animal companion,
Yeah, that's very fantasy.
Speaking of fantasies, we have a character who has quite a shocking one in this upcoming episode.
We do, don't we?
Quite a shocking dream, as it were. Yeah. We've got Season 3, Episode 6, Dust to Dust. We open on a Night Watch security guy harassing a stone order for having a anti-Clark sign up.
Yeah.
This is one of those things that I didn't really notice before HD, like the detail on this thing.
I was going to say this too.
The kick the assassin out of Earthdome.
Not
nice touch.
Not super catchy. They need a better slogan, right?
Yeah, well,
I'd be happy to.
Right?
Sorry.
But his emails, something that will really resonate with people for years, whether they want it to or not.
Yeah. I thought there was an interesting touch in this scene that you might not catch if you're not listening really close. So the store owner, when he is talking to Sheridan, Sheridan happens upon the scene and asks the store owner for his opinion or, his point of view from what's going on. He refers to the Night Watch person as a momser. Do you know what a momser is?
No.
I had to Google this. It is a word that is derived from Yiddish that means a contemptible person, a bastard, that kind of thing. I thought it was an interesting choice to use a Yiddish word, considering the parallels that the Night Watch has to, for instance, Hitler's SS or, Nazi Germany, that kind of thing. It's a very interesting and deliberate choice to use that word.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Like, they don't hide the parallels to Nazism. There's a reason that Night Watch is that star-colored armband. Yes. Like, that's not an accident.
Right.
If it was a very happy accident that I'm sure JMS, as soon as he saw the first one was just like, yes, but
But knowing our creator, no, he definitely chose that armband and
yeah.
did that on purpose. But I just liked that they threw in such a quick reference to it all and threw that one yish word that he uses.
Yeah, that's clutch. So yeah, we get a bit about defending, free speech, the government's undecided. There's an investigation, like he can say whatever he wants. It's not sedition until there's an investigation.
Mm-hmm.
The office is different than the person, and the bootlicker is not happy about this.
No. Sheridan's getting reported. We know it.
Yeah. This is one of those guys who has the Punisher skull with the thin blue line right next to the "Don't tread on me."
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. The "tread on me harder, daddy." Yeah, one of those guys.
Right.
We cut to Garibaldi and Ivanova, who are told by Bester that he will be on the station in 7 hours.
Hey.
And Garibaldi's just like,
Fucking guy.
this guy.
Speaking of fascists.
Right? Down below, a lurker, as what we learn later, is a terrible drug trip to Theme.
Yeah, this one looks bad. He thinks that a mountain is falling on him.
Yeah.
That sounds uncomfortable.
It is rough. We get back from Theme. We have Delenn in the war room, who they bring in on the issue with Bester, where it's just like, look, this dude's just going to rifle through our minds, and there's nothing we can do about it.
Yeah, and we know a lot of things that we shouldn't know. We've done a lot of things we shouldn't have done.
Mm-hmm.
We need some help.
Yeah. Yeah, can you imagine, especially at this point, like, Sheridan knows what Kosh looks like. Like, he brings that home, Bester figures that out.
Yeah.
Knowing he's meeting with the Shadows at this point, like, it is done.
Yeah.
The war starts tomorrow.
Oh, that's right. We had Mr. Morden on the recording. Like, we know that the Shadows are up in Earthdome.
Yeah, so it's done. As soon as Bester puts any mention of that in any report, whether or not he's aware at that point, and I'm pretty sure he is, but...
Yeah, you just send a cruiser to Babylon 5 and just blow it out of the sky, right? As if you're Morden.
Yeah.
And you can do these things.
Yeah, for sure.
You make up something about mutiny.
Yeah, you send a bunch of shadow ships to just blow it up. Yeah.
Yeah, treason, something, anything.
Yeah. Ivanova has a great answer for this, which is just fucking kill him.
Yeah. She's ready to blow him out of the sky when he gets there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, we have that scene coming up shortly. Franklin is against it.
Yeah.
And Sheridan is emphatic that nobody kills anyone on his watch. And I'm just like, oh, yes. John Sheridan, famous pacifist.
No one kills anyone if it's not him doing the killing. Right? This is what this is.
Unless he feels righteous about it, no killing.
Mm-hmm.
Delenn does have a solution to this problem, though.
Yeah. Delenn is, she's full of solutions. She's just a fountain of useful stuff.
Veer returns to the station for a visit after this, where Londo greets him at Space TSA.
Yay! He's not totally written off to Minbar. He's back.
Yeah, well, the plan was always to have him come back in between filming on that other show that he was cast for. And he leaves again at the end of this one, and I think the next time he's back for good.
Yeah. I don't remember him being
because that show did
long.
not last long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he's gone totally native in this time he's been on Minbar. He comes back wearing their clothes,
Yeah.
gushing fondly about his trip to Europe.
It's very clean. The people are very friendly and warm, except for the warrior caste. I don't think they like foreigners.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah, you have to go to Barcelona. Yeah, you haven't lived with unless you'd say you've gone to Barcelona. He's that guy, 100%.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet coming from Veer. He's a very sincere person.
It's endearing compared to the people I know where they were assholes.
It's endearing from Veer to everyone except Londo. Londo is not having this.
Yeah. We cut over to MedLab, where the bad trip is continuing, and Dr. Franklin figures it out just in time for Bester to arrive. Ivanova clears CNC with the intention of destroying his ship, but Sheridan stops her.
This is so dramatic.
Yeah.
It's
He's
so
like,
dramatic.
Bester, when he gets on board, is just pitching a bitch. Be like, what the hell was that? You know? Like, if he feels strong emotion, right? He has to be able to.
Yeah, he says, I felt a grave sense of personal danger.
Mm-hmm.
He knows somebody here wants him dead.
He has to know that she's, like, about to pull him up. Which I think, low-key, is why he agrees. I don't know that he would have otherwise, to be perfectly honest.
Agrees to the sleepers?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
We'll talk about that in about 30 seconds, though, because Bester immediately gets escorted to Sheridan's office, and it's just Sheridan, the senior staff, and like 15 Minbari telepaths. It is standing room only.
Yes. These guys are great. I love their stoic faces. They don't say anything. Their eyes are so wide.
Yeah. They're just like, nope, nothing. No one thinks anything, at least out loud.
And the look on Sheridan's face is also quite good. This whole scene is a nice tableau, of Sheridan just smugging it up amongst these very stoic, very serious Minbari telepaths.
Yeah. Well, he knows, like, he doesn't get many opportunities to tell Bester to eat shit.
Uh-huh.
And so when he gets one,
he's there.
Let alone one where he can't immediately read his mind at the same time. Yeah. Yeah. Bester asks for it straight up, and Sheridan's just like, it's to fuck with you. You're terrible and we hate you. Also, Talia? And Bester's all like, oh yeah, when we had her dissect, oh man,
I don't want that to be true. I don't want that to be true that they dissected her.
Well, I will say, I do feel it's pretty likely because of Jeremy Irons' gift, because of the telekinesis. It's not something that her character used a ton, but it is something that in that season 1 episode, when he's running from the station, that is legit one of his fears, is that Psychor is going to take him and dissect him. He uses those words.
Yeah, you're right. And I mean, the control personality must have known, right? Once it woke up that, oh, look, this body can do this. I better go get dissected now. Oh, that's sad.
Probably volunteered for it, yeah. I mean, it's not like Talia comes back ever, so...
Yeah, I mean...
Even in the JMS's Usenet notes, he was like, one of the reasons we had that recording of Talia's mind in that episode with the vicar was so that we had a way of bringing her back. Like, that is how far gone she was. And so he mentioned that in this, when they're like, is Talia dissecting? He's like, I don't know, we'll figure it out. But, the important thing is that the Talia that you knew was dead, and the only thing of her that you would recognize is the recording that the vicar has, that Kosh has, I should say.
Somehow Kosh could have resurrected her in some fashion.
Yeah.
Theoretically.
Yeah, if she ever wanted to come back to the show, or could have come back to the show. Because at one point it was she couldn't, and then at one point it was she wouldn't.
Mm-hmm.
So,
right.
There's all that.
All right. Well, they basically give Bester a choice.
Yeah.
They tell Bester that he can either agree to take some sleepers that Dr. Franklin has somehow whipped up.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if he got the recipe from Psychor or something. He can be on the sleepers, and then, all of his telepathic abilities repressed for the whole time he's on the station, or they will always have the Minbari telepaths around. They will be present the whole episode.
Yep. And he knows the makeup budget, so he volunteers for the suppression drug.
Yeah.
And
very
I
generous.
Gotta say, Walter Koenig's acting in this moment, the bit where he takes the drug and is just all like, look, I'm a team player. You guys are the assholes. Like, this whole bit, he is making a bid for Emmy for Best Guest Star and for Sassy Magazine's Best Damn moment in one go. It is fantastic.
This is iconic Bester in this episode.
For sure.
We've had 2 episodes now, because he's been at least once per season, right? but this is him at his best. He's very good this whole time.
Yeah. And this is his third appearance and his first of the season. He is back before the season ends. And I only say that without a spoiler tag because JMS was very open about that on the Usenet notes before this episode even aired. Yeah. He wanted people to know in advance, not ruining the experience for anyone.
I mean, he's not just a one and done in the season. Yeah. I'm excited.
Yeah, he wanted him back more and more.
The drama ramps up whenever he's around.
For sure. We cut to Delenn mediating between the Centauri and the Drazi. The Centauri are pushing for now 7 of their colony worlds, up from 2, and threatens the entire destruction and genocide of the Drazi homeworld, just very casually.
Yeah, this is such a turn for Londo. I mean,
yeah,
that he's so casual about this. You know, the Narn, there was like that deep-seated hatred that they had between the two races for a long, long time. The Drazi for us comes out of nowhere. Like, he's never expressed any problems with the Drazi, any contempt either for the Drazi people, you know. And so this is just an extra layer on his kind of evil cake.
Most of them storm out, but Veer has a chance to thank Delenn and Lanier for their help in his assignment to Mimbar. We get a nice little moment, and they're just like, you know, like, Londo will come around, you know, it's not that bad. And they're just like, are you serious? Are you listening to him right now? He's all like, oh, you guys just don't know him like I do. There's still good in him.
Yeah. Poor Veer. He's such a battered wife.
Like, Londo is full on, like, turn to the dark side Vader at this point.
Yeah.
Like, there is no easy way back.
I think Delenn says it really well. I think it's Delenn that, you know, one is scared and one is foolish, referring to either him or the Drazi, but no one knows which. I think it's Veer says it, but then she says who is who, you know, who's scared, who's foolish. This is very, very ominous.
We cut back to Sheridan's office and they talk about the dust. They talk about the experience of doing dust. You live someone's entire life in a few minutes.
Yikes. No thanks. Hard pass.
Like, yeah, but can we do this safely? Like, this is obviously a substance that is running around, right? It is not being used in controlled environments.
Right, sure.
Is there a way to use this, like, if you have a couple telepaths in the room to guide the experience or something, you know, you got some mind sitters. Like, can you imagine the practical application? Like, oh, I want to learn Japanese, right?
Oh, sure.
So we're going to put a 10-year-old Japanese kid in front of me. You know, who knows what's going on? This is all on the up and up, you know. And it's a guided experience of him learning the language natively. And you learn native Japanese in minutes. Right? I
mean, that would be a cool application. All I can think about is like, I have enough trouble living my own life. I don't want to go and live somebody else's very fast.
Yeah, I'm not interested in the full raw dog experience of this.
Yeah, no thanks.
But I feel like if the substance can be altered or guided, there's a lot of practical experience. Can you imagine like on the job training? Like you get a new job and okay, here's a telepath and your coworker Bob, and you're going to get a year of on-job experience in 30 seconds.
Man.
Of just him doing his job, just his 8 hours at work every day, you know, of the last year. Like, just, can you imagine how much you could learn? Like, how much you could grow? It's crazy. Not to mention the empathy. Like, the actual lived experience of living someone else's life for bits, mind-blowing. They'd make it movies and stuff. Like, you'd live the experience. It'd be crazy. You could do all kinds of stuff.
You might be able to solve a lot of problems that we have today. Who knows?
Or that they have.
Yeah. But that's not what Psychor.
Yeah. Well, we find out the bad news is that the person's mind you read that makes them brain dead, we find out in about 30 seconds. And so I had wrote this whole giant tangent about the practical applications of controlled dust. Like, oh, this is so cool. And then it's all like, and then they're brain dead. I'm just like, oh, shit.
You just killed that 10-year-old Japanese kid.
Right. Not good.
Not good. Not gonna work. Back to the drawing board.
Yeah. Buster is
Buster.
on the lookout. Buster.
That should be our name for him. Buster.
Buster. Yeah, like from Jingle All the Way. Buster is he works for a large dust dealer, right? There's someone active on the station. He illustrates the threat to planetary security. It's just like, can you imagine someone who would want a weapon that they could use like this? You know, where that you could smuggle it super easily and all this stuff, and like goes on to why it's a problem, and it immediately cuts to Jakar like while he's still talking, almost like before he has a chance to exhale his sentence. It's perfect. And he's there buying a bunch of dust to weaponize for the Resistance, but before he commits, he has to have a free sample to see if Narns can even use this shit.
Yeah, because we remember famously Narns don't have telepaths. So if dust is specifically linked to like the telepath gene or whatever it is in humans that causes telepathy, maybe dust isn't even going to work for a Narn.
Yeah. I would lean towards it's at least partially genetically compatible, given we see them reaching out to humans to try and get some Narn telepaths. That's been a thing we've seen.
True.
A couple of times, I think, in different levels of fucking grossness.
Right.
In raw layers of skis.
It's always women that they're reaching out to, isn't it? It's always women. Anyway.
Oh god, that pilot's so bad. Anyways, Garibaldi and Bester play Buddy ACAB talking about the sleep of the just. Yeah, it's just Bester goes on a full Black Ops rant here. Just like, we do the things you don't even know need to be done so that you can sleep at night. Like,
cool. And Bester like draws parallels between himself and Garibaldi that aren't wrong. Like,
no, they're
not entirely wrong. But Garibaldi is a little uncomfortable with this analysis of his position.
Yeah, this is one of JMS's 2 checkboxes for the episode. He had noted after it had aired that Bester had been on the show 3 times now, and he had been made a fool of both times. So he needed this episode, he needed to be right about something, and he needed to win. That was the clear lines going into this episode as JMS wrote it, for Bester to keep him a credible threat. Otherwise, he's a clown.
Right. Yeah, exactly. You take away his credibility if he always loses, right?
Yeah.
We don't sense any level of threat.
This is where he's right. This is that checkbox. He is more like Garibaldi than Garibaldi is comfortable knowing or dealing with.
True.
We go back to Jakar's completely trashed quarters as he's tripping on dust. As he mentally searches for Londo to commercial. Yeah, his eyes are huge.
Yeah, he's like nothing but pupil.
We come back to Jakar on a lift as he starts to hear voices. And after this, we cut to Garibaldi and Bester interrogating a local crime leader of some variety.
Yeah.
As Bester fakes reading his minds in a bit that would make John Edwards proud.
Yeah.
Ashi spills the beans.
This is very good.
Yeah. He's like, oh, it's Morgenstern. You know, his shipment comes in at 5. I'm not complicit, but I heard all this stuff.
Sure you're not. But yeah, Garibaldi's pretty upset because he feels like Bester's act was so convincing. He's convinced.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He's all like, hey, is that drug not working? Can you read my mind right now? Because I'm thinking bad things about you. And Bester's all like, no, you're just gullible.
As if Bester would give that away.
Right?
Well, I mean, what's he going to say? Yes, I can read your mind. Like, that's a stupid question, Garibaldi. But okay.
Like you've never lied to someone in interrogation before, Garibaldi? Come on.
Yeah, definitely not on this show at any point.
No. A police officer would lie during interrogation to get someone to admit something they may or may not be guilty of? What?
Not to recommend a podcast on a podcast, but there's a really
free.
good recent episode of The Hidden Brain about that, about, police tactics on getting confessions and how many confessions turn out to be totally wrong, like totally made up because of too much police influence. It's a pretty recent episode, so if you're interested in that kind of thing, find The Hidden Brain. It's very good.
Over at Lando's quarters, they were viewing Veer's post on Mimbar and its people, which he just tears to shreds. Just like this report, he's just like, leaving the bit about them being religious fanatics. That always scares them. But it's just like, they're a kind people. Oh, their economy's failing, It's like they're ancient structures.
He's really giving it the Alex Jones,
Yeah,
he's
for
like,
sure.
how can we conspiracy this up a bit? And Lando's an expert.
For sure. We do get a really good Douglas Adams line in here. The universe is already mad. Anything else would be redundant.
Yeah, that is very Douglas.
Yeah. And then Jakar opens a door, hulks out on Veer, and then to the parlance of the episode that Bester used earlier was mind rape, which and he just goes full on for Lando.
Yeah.
We knew it was going to happen.
We get regular assault on Veer, but special mind assault on Lando.
Yeah. We cut over to Bester and Garibaldi on a stakeout talking shit. We get the famous pinata line here, and then the deal goes down. And if you'll forgive me the pun, they get busted.
That's Buster's job, man.
We cut to Lando, who has been physically tortured.
Yeah.
And then we begin touring Lando's mind.
Mm-hmm. An interesting place.
Yeah, so we get a bit of scenes here where it's like Lando's over the shoulder and there's a black void and he's having a conversation with Jakar, and he'll like turn around and Jakar will be there behind him and in front of him at both times, kind of in different poses.
Mm-hmm.
This is an homage to The Prisoner, the original, the classic, not the remake. They might have done this in the remake too, to be perfectly honest, I don't remember. But if you haven't seen it, classic TV, this was done very deliberately to mimic a scene from that show. So that's your fun TV history fact for the day. We see Jakar learn Lando got his job as a joke.
Oh yeah, this is very sad.
We get a flashback to Lando's dealings with Morden in the shadows. He goes deeper and deeper. He sees Lando's schemes. He sees Lando's dreams of the future with him as emperor and dying at Jakar's hands.
Yeah.
In those flashes.
He gets too much information here.
He gets a ton of information. Yeah. It is confirmed by JMS that Jakar is aware of his future killing Lando, with them killing each other. They both know this now, which is super interesting to me. This is the moment,
right?
Yeah, this is the moment he knows now. And then there's a lot of flashes, there's a lot of stuff. Some of it is visions Lando has had, some of it is stuff that has already happened. It's all very quick. Mm-hmm. The average scene cut in this is just under a second. This took forever to edit, apparently. This 45 whatever it is second bit took hours upon hours upon hours of editing.
Yeah, that's a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Do we get Jaquan in here yet?
We go to Jalan, which is Jakar's father, first, hanging in the tree.
That's right.
And he has a conversation with his father. He hears someone interrupts this vision. Someone stops it, and Jakar turns and sees his father hanging in the tree, as we were told happened a season ago, 2 seasons ago, whatever it was. The cycle of violence will either be stopped or consume both races until extinction. We get a lot about how they're both, the Centauri and the Narn, are dying races, and how Jakar can make sure that the Narn die for something in the Great War. There's a bit there. And there's a lot of language that is used here that is very deliberate, where if you were cognizant of it, I mean, it's hard to say how much I knew, because I know this is Kosh. I knew this was Kosh before this scene started.
Yeah.
So it was like very obvious to me because I already knew. I imagine if this was your first time viewing, you might pick up on a little bit of the language. He doesn't like do the I'm always there kind of thing. I was always here until the end, which is kind of like one of his lines. But there is a bit of it that's just like the dying races, the fight, the struggle, the sacrifice. There's kind of, it's not full on Kosh language riddles, but it's close. And there's a lot of like rhyming with how Kosh speaks.
Yeah. I'm the sort of person that sometimes these things just sort of escape me, and I had forgotten that it was Kosh, that big reveal at the end of the scene there. Maybe not the scene, but there's a big reveal that this is Kosh. And I'm realizing now that he basically interrupted and stopped him. He stopped Jakar from going any farther. I think that's really interesting, especially because we know that the Narn were a shadow-influenced world, at least. Even if there wasn't a ton of influence on their people.
Mm-hmm.
We know that Jakar has in the book that there was a shadow ship, at least, on Narn.
They had a colony on the southern continent, which is important for later.
Yeah. Kosh interfering here is he's trying to get the Narn kind of back on his track, back on the right track.
Mm-hmm.
He's deliberately meddling in what was once a pawn of the shadows.
100%. This is huge moment. This is the turning point for Jakar as a character. 100%. This is probably the most important moment of Jakar's life.
Yep. And it's Kosh.
And it's Kosh. And it's Kosh for like 10 seconds.
Yeah. And he thinks it's God too, which is
we
sad,
see the Vorlon angel thing, and we know it's a Vorlon. He does not know it's a Vorlon. He thinks it's Jaquan.
Right. Just a side note on the scene with Jalan hanging from the tree, and the scene that we see, he's hanging from his arms, right? I think if that scene was on TV today, he's not hanging from his arms. He's hanging from his neck, right? Like
more than likely.
I'm thinking that was maybe a standard of back in the 90s, but today we'd probably be a little more relaxed.
This aired after Roots. I gotta feel like if anything was the turning point for that culturally being a thing that would be on TV, it would probably have been Roots. Yeah. But I don't know.
Sometimes those
we were
things turn
kids.
Slowly. Yeah.
I don't have fully developed memory. My brain was a fucking pile of goo at that point. It's hard to say.
Right. Mine is still a barely formed pile of goo. So interesting.
Yeah, this JMS called that moment Jakar's Gandhi moment in his notes.
Yeah, very much so. It's just a very bitter touch that it is Kosh. It's his Gandhi moment. It's super spiritual. It's enlightening, and it's an alien influence. It's just Kosh.
Yeah. It's almost like the show was written by an atheist, and sometimes he can be really cool about spirituality in other cultures, and then sometimes he does stuff like this.
Yeah. I'd say at least on the scale, this is it's more subtle,
Yeah,
at least.
for sure.
It's not a Richard Dawkins coming in and hammering on something, right?
That is true. It could be worse.
Yeah. And we see, as he wakes up, Jakar it dawns on him when he's done the Londo and everything dawns on him, and he does cry.
Yeah.
There as we see Kosh revealed in the background.
Over in MedLab, Veer is watching over Londo. And we cut over to Jakar at the station court. Before the ombudsman,
I guess we still have a judge.
Yeah, he's brought before the ombudsman, which is that's an actual thing. I wasn't aware of this until earlier today when I Googled it. But specifically, an ombudsman is someone in an organization who deals with complaints levied against people in authority in that organization.
Okay, so an ambassador is a person of authority on Babylon. Well, I guess Jakar's not an ambassador anymore, but...
Yeah, it doesn't really make sense in its modern context, but it's almost like titles and words can change over time, so...
Yeah, weird, right?
Crazy. Anyways, so Jakar pleads guilty. He gets 60 days in the brig. Garibaldi goes to return him his Book of Jaquan, and he's all like, nah, I don't need that no more. I'm closer to the source now.
Yeah. 60 days, to be fair. He assaulted two someone's.
He assaulted two someone's, possibly more on his way there. Actually, no. Yeah. Because the judge actually makes a point of being all like, no, it wasn't just the drugs because he didn't assault anyone else on the way there. So, no.
He premeditated it.
Yep.
Yeah. And not just assault, like they were both incapacitated.
Yeah.
They were both not conscious.
Yeah. They had to ask if Londo was going to make it.
And 60 days, huh? Weird choice, but I have a feeling that perhaps the Centauri will have something in mind for after 60 days.
I would guess that would be the case.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Remember that for every Centauri killed, we're going to kill 500 Narns or something. What about a Centauri gravely injured, right?
Londo will be merciful. It'll only be 250.
Right.
Fucking guy. We cut to Veer and Londo recovering in Londo's quarters after this. Veer is required to leave soon because Homeworld is taking his role seriously. They say he has to go back for a thing. He has to be there. It's important that he's be there. And Londo's like, that's good. They don't think you're a joke.
Yeah. And he's remembering
the unspoken, yeah.
So, and if there's anywhere that I've got to rest up and relax and recover from my broken ribs or whatever that Veer has, like Minbar, that's the place to do it, right?
Better bet than B5, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah. You might get blown up again on B5.
Yeah. Well, your doctor is properly sedated off of B5, lest we forget. Over in space, TSA, Garibaldi sees Bester to his transport as another Psi-Cop. Hey, that's Walter Koenig's wife again.
Who is it? We were wondering that.
Where we learn that the Psi-Corps created dust in an attempt to awaken more human minds to being telepaths.
Yeah. So, and not only did they create dust, but they have gotten very concerned that it could have gotten in alien hands.
Yes.
We want to create more human telepaths.
Yeah, for sure. None of the other races get that good. And then we get a Jakar focusing in on his experience in jail, thinking about what had happened to him, to end credits. Yeah. So, Laura, using our scale of Babylon's 1 to Babylon 5, how do you feel about this episode?
This is a Babylon 5 out of 5 for me.
Yeah?
This is one of my favorites. I don't know, it's got from the poetic title, you know, that's a very nice double meaning of words, to getting Jakar's turnaround, to meeting more about Londo's past and how he's, you know, was a joke, and that's part of why he's so determined to make a name for himself and be better than the joke that everyone thought he was, and it's gone horribly wrong now. Like, the story in this is just so excellent. And then the turn at the end.
Yeah.
Where we find out this isn't just a recreational drug that just happened upon the scene. Like, it's all been part of Psi-Corps all along. Like, that's all really good substance to me. And I really enjoy this episode.
When the dealer is talking to his supplier earlier, and he says, you've been keeping the boys in the lab busy, that takes on a whole new meaning when you know that it's being mass-produced by Psi-Corps.
Exactly. Yeah. That's the good stuff. That's that Babylon 5 good stuff that I live for.
Yeah, that's that low-key Reagan imported cocaine into the United States commentary that I'm here for.
What about you?
I really like this episode. It is not one of my all-time favorites, but it is a solid 4.5 out of 5 for me. It's right on the cusp of being one of my favorite episodes of the series. It's great. Yeah, there's really, I don't have a whole lot bad to say about this episode. So.
Yeah, I don't have any of those plot holes that we felt in the last couple. Where
Exactly,
we're like,
yeah.
What about this? What about that?
Yeah,
I don't have that.
The one line of dialogue that can improve an episode, I don't have one for this episode. Except maybe not using the term mind rape. But, you know, the 90s, I guess.
Right. If we were writing this episode today, that might be one of those things that changed, you know, but it's not a deal breaker for me.
Or maybe they make it worse, you know, to further illustrate, you know. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyways, great ep. Love this ep.
Mhm.
Next one, I don't remember, I think.
I know. Read us the description. We'll see if we get any more out of it.
We've got Season 3, Episode 7, Exogenesis. Marcus and Franklin investigate a series of deaths caused by a mysterious parasite. Shadow vessels amass near Centauri space. Marcus confesses a fondness for Ivanova.
There's 2 out of 3 events there that I kind of remember, and it doesn't sound like they're the A-plot.
No, the A-plot I'm thinking,
Yeah.
I'm immediately thinking of the Season 1 episode with the archaeologist and the Shadow or Vorlon tech turning that dude into the shitty Mega Man. Yeah. Like, that's what this sounds like to me. And I know that's not it because that episode was 2 seasons ago.
Yeah. It sounds very Monster of the Week, though.
Yeah.
Like that episode was. So that's my guess for A-plot next time.
Yep.
Kind of remember the other 2 events. Looking forward to seeing exactly what they were.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, we'll talk about it next week. Yeah. But this week, we still have to say a couple of thank yous. Thank you to Jeremy Siegel for our absolutely lovely theme music. You can find more of Jeremy's work at jeremysiegel42.bandcamp.com.
And thank you to Angry Duck Time Machine on Instagram for our podcast artwork.
Thank you to everyone who listens and reviews the podcast. I posted in the Discord, we got our Spotify Wrapped today, and knowing that we are actually some people's top podcast is mind-blowing to me.
It was delightful to see.
Thank you, everyone, for listening. Thank you, everyone who left reviews of our podcast as well on iTunes. I did actually log into the iTunes and read all of those today, and I really appreciate all of your kind words.
Yeah, me too.
So thank you all for doing that. Shoot us email, whoareyoub5@gmail.com. Hop on our Discord, join our conversations. Every week we're talking about episodes, B5, some memes sometimes, some recasting stuff. It's a great time, great place to be, and it's significantly better than Twitter. Given this episode airs a month from recording, I'm going to guess it's just getting worse and worse.
Yeah. Doesn't take much these days, but I promise our Discord is good.
Speaking of which, I uninstalled Twitter from my phone, so sorry if you've been trying to reach us on there.
Yeah, maybe reach out on Facebook or Discord.
I need to check our Twitter.
You'll get a faster response.
All right, well, I'm going to do that. I'll do that before next week, Internet. But we'll see you.
Bye.